welcome for another Holistic Creative Chat, and today's guest is Jamie Ridler of Jamie Ridler Studios. And I was just telling Jamie that I don't get too nervous being on the interviewer side of things, but I got a little nervous today because I just adore Jamie and the work she brings into the world. If you don't know who Jamie Ridler is, she's an expressive artist, a creative living coach, a creative entrepreneur for sure, and just a spark of joy and inspiration and a safe space for so many creative hearts in the online virtual realms. And everybody you touch, Jamie, is just, it just vibrates this creative spark stuff that you do. I don't know how else to put it, but you just feel it. You just feel it from your videos, from the way you write, the way you share, the programs you put out there. And so thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. That was making me teary. So thank you. And I think that's because, you always bring such a beautiful sincerity, such a realness. And so your words just went straight to my heart. And I'm so excited to be here. And I noticed I am a little bouncy always, but I was like bouncing on I'm like, yeah, let's get started. I'm so excited.
Very cool. So let's start. Let's just start talking about what your creative practice is looking like in this season of your life.
Oh, so yeah, such a great question. I went immediately. My brain went like this: creative practice. This season of my life.
Oh.
That had this kind of weight to it, and maybe that's because I'm getting older, and but one of the things that's really important for me in my creative practice, and I'm so glad to be in this season where I'm just cool with that, is I like to do lots of different things.
Yeah.
So I am never going to be that one person. Doesn't matter how many teachers, doesn't matter how many business professionals, doesn't matter how many dear loving friends say, pick that thing, Jamie, it'll never happen. So I need to have room to dance. I need to have room to make videos. I need to have room to make some classes, to explore journaling. I'm doing some painting right now. I have a sewing project that's on the back burner that hasn't gotten any attention lately. But the practice is consistently showing up creative. And the form can vary. And I have found, so in the past 2 years, I've been trying to learn guitar. And the gift of that is it's brought me back to that place of being a real beginner. And there's a gift, I think, in that way of trying different things and constantly bringing a fresh angle to what you're doing. So the practice is being creative all the time, showing up with my creative heart, being open, being intuitive, being responsive, being present. And then what I'm reacting to or what I'm exploring can range from, crayons to writing.
Yeah. Thank you. What you were saying is so validating. I mean, even for myself, I'm very much, I can resonate with what you're saying. And I know a lot of people listening will be able to resonate with that too. That idea that we have to find the one thing, and just totally immerse and dive into that. Particularly if we're talking about this word like artist. There's often this connotation around what that's supposed to look like. And even more so maybe if you're an artist who's trying to make your livelihood off of that, Yeah. And so to be able to say, you know what, I'm at this point in my life where I'm okay with all the things I love to do. And the practice is showing up creatively all the time.
And I think it's like when you say, the one thing to dive into, if I was to name what is the one thing, it's to be ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's it. I have come down to my life purpose statement that I think, if anyone was to ask me, what do you think we're all here for? I'd say 2 things. Be yourself and love your life. And by loving your life, I mean actively tending to the lovingness of your life. Be like your life is a garden. You are gently tending it. For me, that's it. That's what we're here for. Be ourselves, love our lives. If we all do that, this world will be a beautiful place.
I couldn't agree with you more. Oh. Can we be the poster child for the Holistic Creative Series? Because
yes!
This is why you're a creative living coach, though. I mean, is you deeply feel passionate about that, about creativity permeating all the aspects of how we live and how we show up, and tending that love, loving your life. That's so good. Love that.
I really remember the moment when I got that that's where I was going to focus my energy. I was taking a program called The Bigger Game.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all trying to connect to what's our mission,
Yeah.
like where do we want to focus our energy? And I was just, we were doing drawings, and I made this little person with a little round head and triangle body and a big star on her chest. And I was telling the other person I was partnered with, like, this is why. And, one of the things that I just got was, if we all open our creative capacity, then anything's possible. So you take any world challenge that we're all facing, any personal challenge that we're facing, one of the best resources that we have is our creative capacity.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And also, too, I'm going back to that stage of my life. Maybe I'm feeling older today. But that's also where our youthfulness, that's where our aliveness is, because this is where we tap into energy and spark and, creativity. It's our mojo. It's our life.
It sure is. Yeah. And so there's something that you say on a little page on your site, and I forget which page it is, but it's having fun and working hard are awesome companions.
Yes.
So this takes us from this, yes, find the things you love and the joy and follow that thing, to, okay, yes, there's this other element, this working hard piece. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's a piece that a lot of people leave out.
Yeah.
And then people get really hurt by feeling like, hey, I showed up with my whole heart and I really believed, and how come it didn't work? Yeah. It's like nobody told you you had to do something, and part of that is a commitment. It's my part. I often think of it as a game. It's like life puts certain cards on the table. This is also, we all have different challenges, different gifts, different limitations, and that's like the challenges that's the cards that life gave us. Yeah. And then we get ours. Yeah. And that's us showing up and working and doing. And I really learned that, my first love, my home art, is dance. And then I spent a lot of time in the theater. I trained in the theater. I had my graduate degree in theater. And you work. Like you show up early, you stay late, you appear on stage, and then you clean the toilets. Like, you do it all. And that is a part of what brings us together, though, too. It's a part of the way the universe knows we really want this, because we're willing to expend our life energy into it. And it's kind of like magic. It's like a puppet. It's like the puppet's sitting there waiting, and it's our expenditure of energy that's what brings it to life. And that's the work. And so if we can make it, another thing from the theater, mostly nobody ever gets paid. So if you're going to work that hard, and if you're going to ask other people to work that hard for you, it better be fun.
That's right.
And so that's one of the things I learned too, is to really revel in the joy of the doing. And to have fun in the process that you're sharing. These are amazing life experiences. Whatever happens, I remember when I first started leading dream board workshops, and, sometimes it would be me and my sister. Mm-hmm. And I could get all sad about that, or I could go, Shannon and I have this whole room to ourselves for 3 hours.
Awesome.
Let's turn the music up and we can just do our thing. What a life experience for us to have shared, to think about that time in our lives where the two of us had a studio and we're creating dream boards.
Right.
That's important to me, to enjoy. That's my value too of life. It's like, I just want to enjoy this life. We get a limited amount of it. I think this is my other corollary to the hard work, is this fun, this optimism. Part of where, for me, is fueled from a deep, I lost my mom a couple of years ago now, and knowing this doesn't last forever. Yeah. And so while it's here and while I'm here, I want to taste it and I want to enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's perspective.
Yeah, it is.
And we get to choose that. And I so much of what you say I resonate with, as I worked as a hospice nurse for years, and if I came out of it with any one thing, it's exactly what you're saying, that we have this life. We don't know for how long, these moments. And we get to choose what attitude and what perspective we bring to the hard work of it. Yeah. And that makes the hard work, like you're saying, more fun. I mean, ultimately, it's seeing the opportunity in it all. So, thank you, Jamie. So, so do you have anything that's showing up like resistance oriented? What is something that's tough for you right now with your
Holy
creativity?
moly, I got a big one for you. Yeah,
Okay.
I got a good one. I got a good one for this. So I have decided over the past year, I've started saying out loud, this doesn't work for me that well, by the way. This is the strategy everyone says to do. Say something out loud and then you'll feel committed. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I can move on to the next. But
Yeah.
I haven't said, I've been trying it. I've said out loud that it's time for me to write a book.
Mm.
And so, and now this feels very risky because who knows what will happen. And
Mhm.
I've just said that doesn't, that sometimes I still abandon things. um, but it really is time. I've been working for a long time on this creative living thing. I have had hundreds of conversations. I've worked with hundreds of people. And I feel like in the development stage, it's all been, you're discovering together and you're like, oh, this is important and this is important. Oh, this too and this too. And I really feel like now is the time to put it into something that if somebody was stepping onto the trail for the very first time, they wouldn't have to discover it all themselves or haphazardly like this beautiful quilt,
Right.
but instead could go, oh, okay, here's a good place to start, and here's a toehold into the next place. And so I really think that's time, but it feels so big to me because it feels like I'm trying to create one thing that holds all that experience, and that feels overwhelming.
Mm.
And so even though in the past couple of months I've been like, I'm going to show up to this, I haven't. And so resistance.
So what has your track history with resistance like that shown you? Is there like a pattern you can kind of expect from yourself when it's that strong?
Yes. You know what? The funny thing is, and this is going to sound like I'm letting myself off the hook, and in part I am, is sometimes when resistance shows up that strong, I notice it actually is divine timing.
Yeah.
It actually is, I'm not meant to do it right now. And the more I push and the more I fight, this is why I do abandon things, because the more I push and the more I fight,
Mm-hmm.
the less I enjoy it, the more it hurts my health, the more it hurts my heart. And we all know that. We've all pushed too hard and paid a price for it. And I am not interested in doing anymore. So one is it's divine timing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I may not have found the right in yet. So I may be holding, this is the way to start, or this is what it's going to look like. And that's like my idea going, nope, try another entry. This one is closed. And so I think maybe that's a little bit of what's going on here is I had a new idea for how I might frame it that might be more useful. And that kind of went, oh, so.
Yeah. That's a great answer. And I don't think it sounds like you're letting yourself off the hook at all. I think that actually maybe it goes back to the season of your life thing. It's a wisdom thing. I really think that is. So, all right. So the question I ask everybody is, and I think it's a good segue in, because you just mentioned how if you try to push through, it affects your health and affects your body. It even shows up there, which I know you're very passionate about body wisdom. So how do you define healing today?
So the word that comes to my mind right now is alignment.
Mm.
I feel like we are often at our healthiest when it's like, I think of movement. I think of like when it's easy for me to do this, then I feel healthy. And it's easiest for me to do it when I'm not expending too much or too little energy. When I'm in line with what I want to do. There's some connection between what I'm imagining.
Mm-hmm.
And what I notice is when we're pushing too hard or when oh gosh, I've suffered from this so much. When we're out of sync with our hearts, we're doing things that we don't believe in. We're in jobs that aren't reflective of who we are. We're in relationships where we're compromising, where we are really giving up on a lot of things. Then I just feel like that brings us down. And I think for me, I'll go here, is that health for me is aliveness. Mm-hmm. So every decision that brings us closer to aliveness, whether it's in our body, our heart, our art, our mind, anything that moves us towards alignment is healing, towards aliveness is healing, and anything that moves us away from aliveness is not.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Jamie. So you are also one of the contributors for Spectrum 2015 this year. I'm so thrilled that you're joining us for that. It's going to be a rich experience this year. And you are bringing the workshop Gathering Words, Finding Your Voice, Discovering Your Inner Poetry. So thank you. Very exciting. I love that.
I am very excited. I'm very excited to help people explore something that can be intimidating. This idea of poetry is like, what? And to hone in on who we are and what words are important to us, what way of telling belongs to our hearts.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite is, really finding our uniqueness and being able to share it. So I'm really excited to dive into words and meaning and symbology and uniqueness with everybody. So be sure to check that.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Jamie, so much for being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.